I'm not ready. I'm ready.
She's ready. I'm with the Examiner. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
And I'm actually the Baltimore Concerts Examiner.
Oh, right on.
But we lost most of our venues, so I come to DC a lot.
Okay.
So, Forever Halloween. It's fantastic.
Hey, thank you.
I haven't actually talked to you guys since right after Black and White came out, and I gushed over Pioneer, and then I'm like, there's another one coming! I was so excited. So I had to get the gushing out in advance. How has the fan response been for Forever Halloween, for the new album?
Good. Yeah, I mean, people have been showing up. So that's a good sign. We actually, we've had quite a few sold out shows.
That's awesome.
I think due in part to the package that we put together, and I don't know, I think just word of mouth, hopefully, about the tour. It's kind of, we're a little more than halfway done, so.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
But, yeah, I mean, the online response has been awesome.
I saw a little bit, like, on Twitter, just
here
and there, all positive.
It's always hard to gauge.
Right?
You know? And it's always, like, one of those things where everyone kind of seems to be a critic, but, you know, it's all opinion-based.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
we only pay mind to the positive stuff, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's been a lot of it, so I'm very thankful.
And this is the second album you guys have done independently. Is that
Correct,
right?
yeah.
I know there's lots of good, but there's lots of bad. Can you kind of explain how it kind of differs from what you were working with when you had that label?
You know, with the labels, it seems like there's a lot more opportunity, like maybe like press opportunities or things like that. But you know, for us, that stuff is just kind of, you know, it's good to have, but
bankroll, obviously. You know, we don't have a bag of money to reach into. So everything that we're, you know, all the decisions we have to make, we have to be conscientious of you know, where the money's going to come from, because it's going to be our pocket. But I think it makes us appreciate everything more. And obviously the creative control that we have been able to experience has been, you know, I can't even express the difference.
Well, the sound difference, which, like I already gushed. I mean, it's just.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you
know,
know,
not to say I didn't like the previous stuff, but you know, when you kind of get that like little more earthy tones, a little, I want to say crunchy, but not in a negative way. But you know, just like a little more emotional.
I think when you're under the thumb, and you know, I'm not saying we're old by any means, but when we were first starting out, we 17, 18 years old, so we didn't necessarily, not saying that we know what we want to do and sound like now, but I think we were even more disconnected from that thought. And you know, I guess our mindset now is more so, you know, we got signed in the first place because we were writing material on our own, and stuff that we you know, were making was real and authentic, and we figured, you know, why change that? You know, there's no reason to.
Actually, a question, kind of part of that, kind of answered it, but I mean, when you were first starting out, had you hoped your sound would kind of progress in this general direction? Or did you just not really?
I don't know if we knew. You know, we learned about a lot of different music that, you know, we didn't know all that well back then. You know, that's kind of like crept into our influences. But you know, we always wanted to be just a, you know, rock band. That was always the plan.
Yeah, and I think it's imperative that we've had the interactions with the people that we've had. You know, the pleasure of meeting. You know, Brendan Benson, who did the album, being able to pick his brain, and you know, he comes from a world that is so far disconnected from where we grew up, which was great to have a perspective like that, you know, in the room, and somebody thinking about, you know, rock music, and
like
not.
He grew up in the '70s, like so it was like. Completely different than where we came from, and like, you know, there's bands that we would just sort of mention, and he was like, I don't even know who that is. And
which is awesome.
Yeah, and so it was like for him to be like just as into the music as we were, like the stuff that we were making was awesome, and it really showed us that, like, you know, know, if we're happy, you know, hopefully we're making our fans happy because, you know, we're connected with them. But also having someone that's like so far out of it, just as pumped, was really awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And you did the album Analog, right?
We did,
okay.
yeah.
I think I was just completely blown away.
Yeah,
Just,
I mean,
it's such a foreign concept, and you I'm sorry to stop. I just feel like I've seen it live probably a handful of times. You get more of that real live sound. I'm sorry, that was my phone. And when you do it, what kind of led you in that direction?
It was him.
Totally him.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I remember it was like sort of an idea that, you know, we were throwing around a Pioneer, but we just didn't know how to do it. And, you know, we tried to, like, when we first did the first few songs, we tried to do them live with Pat, Garrett, and I. And it didn't really end up working out. We had to go back and do things. I don't think we were ready at that point.
Plus, we didn't have somebody there kind of coaching us.
Yeah,
not coaching us through it, but we looked to him for reassurance. And when we found that, it was very gratifying because it's, you know, something that was, like you said, very foreign to us. And to be able to see his reaction and feel, you know, him kind of acknowledging the fact that we
that was a good take.
Yeah,
I mean, something as easy as that. Or
like,
it gave us the confidence that we really needed, and you know, it made something that was once very scary seem, you know, very plausible and very easily kind of attainable. So
you definitely do with a lot less of the auto-tuning and the digital.
Yeah.
I mean, in some bands, like the album will be fine, and then you hear them live, and you're like, oh my god, they're just.
Yeah, I think that's the age that we live in.
Yeah.
And not to say that, you know, one process is right and one is wrong. It's just for us, you know, I think it deals with our headspace more, but you know, we're not interested in a lot of the things. And I use the word things very, you know, it's a very broad stroke, but we're not interested in a lot of the things that other artists are interested in. I feel like we don't want the 15 minutes, we want the 15 years, you know, the 15 years after that. So, I don't know, it's all relative to the situation with people that are kind of making the music. And, you know, I think great stuff can be created and has been created the digital way.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
But I think it's cool to kind of take yourself back and put yourself in a position that, you know, other, you know, Bowie and the Stones and Neil Young, artists like that have continued to go back to. So.
They grew up in the 80s, so you're good.
There you go, yeah.
We're 80s kids, so you're good.
Okay.
You said that, Garrett, you said that there were some different influences coming in. That's one of my questions, actually. Who influences you musically?
You know, it's one of those things where it's not, we never are one of those bands that's like, oh, let's make that Fleetwood Mac record or something. You know, that's like not what we've ever wanted to do. But you know that
it'll creep in. It's inevitable that what you're listening to will creep into what you're creating. I mean, and that's, you know, if I were a fan of a photographer, some way along the line, you know.
I mean, you get inspired from things.
Absolutely.
But you're not. The idea is to try not to just take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know, things like you said, like the Rolling Stones were a huge thing. Fleetwood Mac, Neil Young. But
feel a little Tom Petty too.
Yeah.
But like bands in the night, like Pavement, and
I mean, I guess you can consider Wilco.
I was gonna say Wilco, like Jayhawks, that kind of direction. Sure.
I think
I hear that a
like
lot.
The indie kind of
like the more
raw, obscure.
Like Pavement, like you listen to their songs, it's like shit's out of tune. And, it's not perfect, which is something that we really wanted to embrace, because we're not perfect and we're not the best musicians, but there's no way that 5 other people could sound like the way that we do, you know, and just like we could never sound like the Rolling Stones or anything like that, which, you know, I think you really have to showcase that, because there's a reason that we're doing this, you know, the 5 of us. And,
I think that that's what helps when you do it live, obviously, is you capture the nuances, the small subtleties that make you who you are, you know. And I mean, we could sing into a computer and we could, you know, sound like Beyonce or whatever, but I mean, there's a reason that she's Beyonce,
right.
You know. So it's like we're not trying to be Celine Dion.
I'm glad.
Yeah, but there's you know I think the feeling of those records that we really look up to, like the Rumors and you know, stuff like that. I think that's what, you know, we want to be a part of. We want to create something, an entity. We want to create an album, not single songs. And
yeah.
you know, I think that's what was really cool about the process too. Is we put a lot of thought into the track listing and what songs we were recording, and you know, the whole body of work.
Of the record and how it flows together. Like, it's not like, oh, this is the first single, put that song first, or you know, it's like
we had nobody there kind of telling us that stuff, which was really cool to experience. It's like we kind of dictated the whole process on our own. So, you know, to not have some schmo in a suit, you know, tell you,
he
this is going to be the biggest song in the world, man. It's like, no, it's not.
He read the title and he knows.
Yeah, it's like, it's so formulaic that it's like, that's what strips the fun of music and the fun of creating art. That's what strips it all away.
Yeah, it's like when you record like the song, like Bright Girl on Black and White, where they're like, this is going to be a huge song, but it needs this guitar part, like in the chorus, and then we're done with the record, and Jared has to fly out to LA for like one guitar part. It's like, it didn't do anything. Like, it didn't change anything about the song whatsoever. And it was just like the biggest deal, I remember. It was just bullshit. Yeah. It was so bullshit.
No, I completely understand. I always get excited when artists or musicians are able to release stuff independently and are able to actually do it, because, you know, then you really get what they want you to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you end up with a favorite track from the album? Or maybe one you enjoy performing live, somewhere along those lines?
I really like a song called Sad Songs. It's like one of the more descriptive, in my opinion, I guess I'm going to toot my own horn. I feel like it's one of the more descriptive kind of stories that I've told through our music. And because it comes from a place that, you know, a scenario that's so real that I didn't have to think about it too much. We just kind of let it happen.
That song for sure, because, you know, I knew what you were talking about, and or Take What You Can Carry. It was one that I was super pumped on since the beginning, like the first demo, and it took a few different forms and things throughout the studio, and I feel like we finally got it to where it was supposed to be the whole time. So.
I listened to the album probably like 25 times when I was just going through the review, because, you know, it's just, I have such a hard time just kind of like picking out like what to highlight, and you know, and so I just remember just sitting at my desk and hitting repeat just all day.
Goodness.
I'm about finished. I think I do have a staple question that I ask everyone.
Yeah.
It's my favorite, and it's if you could pick one musician band to follow you around and perform the soundtrack of your daily life, who would you choose and why?
What, they like seriously stand right behind
They would
me
seriously
and
be like
songs.
following you up, like be hanging out in the bathroom while you're showering, and like climb in the elevator with you, even if it only held like 2 people. You don't have to talk to them though.
That's a great question. I would say Bob Dylan. That might get kind of.
I'll take Neil.
Oh, nice.
I'll take Neil. That or Paul Westerberg.
Oh, yeah. I always think go to the single soundtrack for some reason with Paul Westerberg.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. That's a great question. That's tough, man.
You're gonna be thinking about it for days.
Kanye West.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody said that before.
Probably. I'll go with David Bowie.
Would you want him to just follow you around?
Yeah.
All the way? That would be awesome.
Your cool points would be like
I know. I'd be
sky.
like, dude, that dude's hanging with Bowie.
He doesn't even. He probably wouldn't even
But
sing.
he should have a
He'd just
guitar.
be making a bunch of looks.
No, he should have a guitar. Just be like,
Yeah.
Or it would be like
vibing it out, like
the hits of
total-
Labyrinth.
Yeah. The hair of Labyrinth.
The hair
Right.
of Labyrinth, absolutely.
Dun, dun.
My go-to is always Danny Elfman.
Okay. Cool. That's probably a good. Maybe like Hans Zimmer.
There you go.
You know.
Han Solo.
Solo.
Even better. That's
Yeah.
cool points too.
Yeah. That
He's
is true.
he's the biggest badass in the galaxy. So
Yeah,
what are you
that's
gonna
very
do?
true.
That's what I have.
Right on.